All right, what's going on, guys? Back with the Bonafide Basketball Podcast here with Jay Sauce and Hot Rod. What's going on, Rod?
What's going?
So we have a good podcast for you guys today. I know it's been a while. We've been busy and we're trying to get back into it, get this thing going, hopefully 2 times a week. Today, Rod, I know we missed our last week. We were trying to get one done with our playoff predictions, but we can go through those today and talk about kind of what's been going on in the playoffs so far this year. And getting started, what matchup do you want to start with? What's on your mind?
Let's go with the 1-8. Let's start from the top. We'll jump from conference to conference.
Let's go west. What do you think about them Rockets and them Timberwolves?
The Rockets, I really like game 1. They're going through game 2 right now. I don't have an updated score, but game 1 was really entertaining. And one thing that I liked about it was, Harden putting up 40-plus points on Jimmy Butler. I thought that was a really interesting matchup coming into the series. And one thing I disliked about the first game was Karl-Anthony Towns only having 9 points. He needs to be a lot more assertive, especially if he wants to, assert his name into one of the top centers in the league. He needs to be better, especially in that stage.
Yeah, most of my points, we kind of expected this from the Rockets. We knew they were going to come out and they were going to ride James Harden. They were going to shoot a lot of threes. But I'm just disappointed with this Timberwolves team. Looking at it roster-wise, it reminds me, and I'm sure it reminds you a lot of like the 2010, 2011 Bulls. You got Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson, Thibodeau, his guys, D Rose is on there. And it's like the same problem that they always had was when it comes down to it offensively, they're just not that good. Jimmy Butler, he can get you so much, but like Karl Towns, like throw the man the ball and let him. He needs to be more assertive. Like, what happened to the days when a center would just back somebody down and dunk on him, and then if he's guarded, throw it out. Like, and Wiggins too. He's somebody who, for a long time now, I feel like he's kind of plateaued a little bit, and this could have been a chance for him to really step up. But maybe it's because he's playing behind Jimmy Butler a little bit. He feels like Jimmy Butler's kind of the alpha, so he's deferring. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think Andrew Wiggins might be one of the bigger candidates for a trade this offseason if someone gets traded. Because, there was a report that came out that, he was, like, not happy being the third option. But it's like, you're not better than Towns or Butler, so what are you really mad about?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He got paid. He definitely got paid. But as far as his game goes, like, he still can't shoot free throws. His ball handling is still pretty sketchy. And it's like, if he's supposed to be taking that next step and he doesn't want to be the third option, you got to give him something else to work with. Half the time he drives to the basket, he bobbles the ball, So I kind of expected more from them. But, looking at the game right now, they're down 20 again. So looking like they're going to be down 0-2, and they'd be lucky if they even get a win.
2 things before we move on to the next series. First off, you forgot to mention what you like about the series so far. And
True.
What was your prediction of this series coming in?
Coming in, I thought the Timberwolves would actually win at least one game, but looking at the way it's playing out, I'd be surprised if they get one game. I think they're probably going to get swept. But you know what I like about this series? I like the fact that James Harden can get away with so much stuff. Like, when I watch him play, everything he does, he's like borderline on the edge of, is this a travel or an offensive foul? Is that like a legal move? Or like, is he just exploiting the system to the best of his abilities? Because I've never seen somebody like this. when he is doing legal moves, but he's like almost exploiting the system to where he's making it seem like there's a foul on every play, and he's getting hit, but he's the one initiating the contact. And on his step backs, if you look closely, it looks like he travels. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think he travels on some of his step backs or what?
I think it's like he takes a full step forward and then takes 2 more steps back. In my opinion, it's definitely a travel, but
after he gathers too.
Yeah.
After he gathers the ball, he takes that step.
Mm-hmm. and I argue with some of my friends all the time about it, and they'll like say that, oh, it's not a travel. I'm like, dude, can you not count? Like, it's 3 steps. Like, what?
Oh yeah, and it's at least it's not as bad as Covington's travel the other night.
Oh, dude, that definitely might be the worst travel I've ever seen. He literally took 1 step and then took another side 2 steps, like right in front of the official, and didn't see it.
Right in front of the official, shot fake, no dribble, step to the side, pull up. Like, what? But I guess moving to the East, what's the 1-8 matchup over there? Toronto Wizards, who I guess I'll take this one first. Before the series, honestly, inside, I thought the Wizards have a decent chance of upsetting this series. And, I guess Toronto took care of home court like they should have. But I thought the Wizards were going to steal one and win the series in 6, actually. But it looks like Toronto might be real this year. In the past, they've kind of been a little underperforming and like disappointing, I'd say. But they seem like they're real, and I don't know how far they can go, but it seems good. And then I guess something I dislike about this series is, well, okay, here's something weird. You notice the Wizards signed Ty Lawson?
Yeah, they did, like the day before the playoffs started.
If I recall, he was completely out of the league, and he had gotten in trouble with like DUIs, and he was kind of an alcoholic and things like that. And that's kind of nice to see him back, but it's just kind of random, right before the end of the season they signed Ty Lawson.
Yeah, that was really random too. Like,
and he played 30 minutes last night.
Really? I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, he played good.
Yeah, the Wizards bench is just so depleted, and like Jody Meeks now has that like huge suspension because he like failed the drug test. So like they kind of have to play him, and they already don't have a bench. But one thing I forgot to mention is my prediction coming into the Rockets series. I had the Rockets winning in 5. So
okay.
That's what I had coming in. And one thing I like about this Toronto series is they're sort of changing that narrative of how, they choke in the playoffs, but in reality, they're probably going to play the Cavs next round, and they're going to meet Daddy LeBron, and he's going to beat them down. So it's like, are they really that much different than, Toronto teams in the past when they lose to the Cavs next round? So right now, they're looking really good, and their bench looks really good. And the Wizards, they're one of the teams that, and that's my disappointment, they should be better than what they are. Don't you agree? Like, they should not 100%. Be the 8th seed in the East. And we're going to get to another team later that I don't think they should be where they are either. And honestly, like, if you're the Wizards, like, how do you get better as a roster? Like, what do you do with that team? Because it kind of seems like they've peaked. Like, they try to play like that tough guy team every year, but they're like not good. Like, they're good to make the playoffs, but they don't scare anyone. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going back to a point you made to me earlier today, actually, before we were on the pod, about, you said the same thing about the Blazers, where it's like they've kind of reached like the peak of as good as they're going to be with this roster, and where do they go from here? Because like the only next move is, if you can attract a free agent like a Boogie Cousins or somebody, obviously that's a game changer. But some of your only movable assets that could get you back something that would make the team as good as it is someone like Beal or Wall. You got to decide, are these the two guards that are going to lead me to the championship, or do I need to move one of them and try to get a different piece back in return? Just like with the Blazers, is Lillard and McCollum. I mean, I think overall, Lillard and McCollum are doing more with less, but this Wizards team, like you were saying, Otto Porter, what happened to him? I thought he was supposed to be a max contract type player. So they've just been kind of disappointing. Gortat's getting older. Their bench, like you said, is non-existent. So they got to make some big moves.
Yeah, they got some big decisions coming out. And I had the Raptors coming into this one winning in like 6. But it looks like they might win in 5. And I don't think it'll even make... Yeah, the Wizards might take one at home, and they'll probably be done in 5. That's what it looks like so far. But, things in the playoffs change so fast.
Yeah, exactly. Game to game, completely different.
And so the next teams, we'll go 2-8, or 2-7, sorry. But we'll stay in the East. Let's go Boston, Milwaukee. What do you like and dislike about this series so far?
What I like is the competitiveness. We've seen some great games and the toughness. I mean, even just today, the going back and forth between Rozier and Bledsoe. It's entertaining and I like it. I think personally, Rozier has been outplaying Bledsoe. So Bledsoe, with his comments and saying that he doesn't know who Rozier is, that's kind of funny to me because he's the one who's been giving him buckets the last 2 games.
I was gonna save that for my dislike because, how does Bledsoe come out and say who the F are you when Rozier basically said that with that crossover when he got him to hit that 3 before Middleton hit that crazy 3? He got you so bad. What are you talking trash for? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. So that's what I like. I like the competitiveness. What I dislike is that I feel like Giannis is actually doing all that he can, and it's just that's all he can do. I mean, he's getting 30 points a game. He's doing the best that he can, but I don't think him alone is enough to lead this team past even this depleted Boston team. They're just better coached. They're a better defensive team. They got more pieces. They might not have a superstar like Giannis, but, you throw in a Jaylen Brown, you throw in a Rozier, and you throw in a Tatum into Brad Stevens' system, and it's so efficient, and it's a good team. So what I dislike is that Giannis is trying the best that he can, and it's just not going to be enough, I think.
Okay, all right. So with me, what I like about this series so far is just you're really seeing Boston's young guys step up, which is really kind of scary for the rest of the East when Kyrie and Gordon Hayward comes back. And, I mean, you have Philly, who's really young as well. So those look like they're going to be the top 2 teams for the foreseeable future, especially with LeBron, hanging in the air and can go out west.
Definitely.
Philly and Boston, those 2 teams are going to be really scary moving forward. And my dislike, I kind of have 2 dislikes. I actually already said one. The second one is, this is the other team that I was talking about when I was talking about the Wizards. The Bucks, if you looked at their roster, even without Jabari for half the year, and they just got him back, this team should not be the 7th seed in the East. And they shouldn't be, down 0-2 to the Celtics that are missing Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. You know what I mean? You have a arguably top 5 player in the league, Giannis, and you're down 0-2 to a team that's missing 2 All-Stars. That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? They should definitely be a lot better. I mean, Middleton's a 20-point per game scorer. You got Brogdon. You got Jabari. You got Eric Bledsoe. You traded, first round picks for him, and you have this kind of high end roster in the East, and you almost didn't make the playoffs. I mean, the teams at the bottom kind of locked in pretty early, but you're the 7th seed. They're should be where Indiana is. So here I have a couple hot questions here for you.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Actually, I had one planned for tonight, but I kind of thought of the second one because I've heard things about this one a little bit.
Okay.
So question number one:
Yeah.
is Giannis overrated? Not as a player, but would you say that he's overrated compared to Victor Oladipo because Victor Oladipo brought the Pacers to the fifth seed with less in terms of roster talent?
Um, in that sense, if you're comparing them directly, yes. In general, I think Giannis has kind of always been a little overhyped because he's so long. He's like a freak athlete that people just are like in love with him. Um, he is amazing though, but I think there's something about a guy who can create his own shot off the dribble that makes you a little bit more of a threat. I mean, because Giannis compared to Oladipo, he can hit a step back three, he can hit a pull up three, he can hit a jumper, he can come off a screen, hit a jumper now, like, and he can take you to the basket. So I think Oladipo, when you need a bucket, he can get that bucket. Giannis, I think in the full court game, is a better player. I mean, he can finish over taller players. He can. He's got a nasty Euro step. He might be a better person leading the break than Oladipo. You could argue he's a better passer. But when it comes down to the end of the game, the Bucks don't have that guy that can just get his own shot. I mean, a lot of times they go to Chris Middleton because he's a better shooter than Giannis. So that's where, in the NBA, a lot of winning comes down to who can make the last bucket of the game. That's why some of the best players at the end of games are the Kobe Bryants and Michael Jordans, late career LeBron as he developed a jump shot. And so I think it's different. It's hard to compare them directly, but if you're going off that, yeah, I'd say Oladipo should be getting the same hype, but he's not because he's not as flashy. He's not as like looked at as a freak as Giannis.
Okay. And here's my
What do you
second.
think?
What I think is, I already said how I think the Bucks shouldn't be where they are. And
Yep.
Giannis, individual talent, he's easily, top 10 in the league. Arguably top 5. But, when it comes to like team success, like it seems like he doesn't make players around him better.
Yep.
And that's like that next step as like a superstar player. Like, yeah, you can be great, but do you make other people around you better? And it seems like Oladipo made 2 steps this year. Like, he got better as a player, and he brought a team that everyone thought was going to be in the lottery to the 5th seed in the East. And, they won game 1 against the Cavs in, like, incredible fashion. Like, they, like, punched the Cavs in the mouth. And the Cavs won tonight. LeBron had his, typical LeBron game. And the Cavs won tonight. But he just brought this different, like, vision to the Pacers that no one really saw coming. You know what I'm saying? So comparing the two and what they bring to their teams, I would say Giannis is overrated, but individually talented, I don't think he's overrated, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
All right, so my second hot question, this was going to be my original one.
Okay.
So my brother and I kind of talk about this a lot, and we argue about this a lot. Who do you think is... Okay, hold on. Let me ask this correctly. Who do you think would make an all-star first for the Boston Celtics? Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum? Also, like, who is more valuable to the Celtics right now?
Ooh.
Like, who's a better player?
That's tough. Okay, right now, this playoff series, like the 2018 playoffs, I think Jaylen Brown is, just because, I mean, last game he went off for 30 points, and I don't know though. They're similar and yet different, but they're both like Max Kellerman has um, a good analogy for how he ranks players. Like he ranks them as, like superstar, possibly an all-star, um, a starter, a rotation player, and then somebody who would be lucky to have a spot on the team. So, like, both of these guys fall into the rotation player or starter and, like, have the potential to be an all-star in the future because they're both so young. So it's like, that's a difficult one. But right now I'd say Jaylen Brown, but, on this team, whoever's starting, I think, has the potential to be an all-star first, whoever's getting more minutes. But on another team, I'd say Jaylen Brown because I think he's more aggressive. I think Tatum's been getting starts, though, a lot, like all season, obviously, and he's been very consistent. And he's a year younger. Jaylen Brown has one more year of experience. But I think Jaylen Brown is more aggressive, which in the NBA I think is a good thing and would lead to him being all-star first.
Well, damn, my brother would love to hear that because I'm the complete opposite. I think right now, right now, I think Jason Tatum's a better player.
Really?
And Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown has his spurts, and he's a good player too. Like, they're both, fantastic young players in the league.
Yeah.
But I think Jason Tatum he's way better offensive player. And he's also really good on defense. And I think he's a more complete player than Jaylen Brown is. And the only thing Jaylen Brown has over him is that 1 year of experience, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you compare this year, Jaylen Brown, to next year's Tatum, like, Tatum would be a lot better, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think Jason Tatum has the brighter future. I think Jason Tatum is the better player now. And Jason Tatum already has that, like, man, this guy's going to be, like, a number one option. I think he can be, like, a number one option on a team. And my thing with the Celtics is, like, my other kind of argument to, like, my brother and, like, your thing is next year the Celtics are getting 2 All-Stars back. And rarely do you see teams with 4 All-Stars. So it's like, who's going to be that third one if they're, like, the top seed? You know what I mean? And I feel like Jason Tatum kind of has, like, the media behind him. And Jason Tatum's just a better, like eye test. He's just a better offensive player, eye test wise. And he's such a good 3-point shooter. He's shot over 40% as a rookie. Like, I just think that he has such a bright future. And I think personally he'll be an all-star before Brown.
We'll see how it plays out. I mean, either way, it's a tough matchup. Like, I would not be surprised either of them because, like you said, they're getting 2 All-Stars back next year. You got to wonder, Danny Ainge is always up to something if he's going to make moves because he's piled up assets for years now. So you never know who might be in a different uniform next year, or who knows? But you're right. That is a tough question.
Yeah. Tough. All right. So, like, let's move on to the next series, the 2-8 over on the West. This should be pretty quick, honestly. We got the Spurs and the Warriors. One thing you like and one thing you dislike so far.
All right. So this series, I got a hot question for you too. And I got to give you my opinion on what I think's going on. But
wait. Before you do that, wait. Before you do that, we didn't even tell, our listeners our predictions from the last round, like, coming into the series. So
coming into Bucks Boston, I thought it was going to be Boston in 7.
Ooh. Okay. I actually thought that whichever team got the Celtics first round would beat them. But seeing the Bucks lose to Philly like they did that one night when they knew they needed to win kind of just, like, discouraged me. So I had Boston in 7 as well.
Oh. Yeah, I thought the Bucks, I mean, you never know because obviously it was Boston's home court and they were close games. So hopefully, they can put on a good showing at home and win at least one game. I hope. But we'll see. Getting
Okay, yeah.
back to Golden State, San Antonio. So for me, coming in, I had the Warriors in 5. Um, and so one thing I like from the series, I think we're finally seeing an engaged Warriors team. These first 2 games that I've watched, and I watch a lot of Warriors games. They're my second favorite team overall, behind the Lakers, obviously. So I've watched my fair share of games this season, and
He's not a
seeing Klay
bandwagon either.
Thompson. No, no, not at all. Um, I I think throughout most of the season they were disengaged. They didn't really care. They were just trying to get to the playoffs. And then especially when Steph went out, they were just like, let's just get to the playoffs. And now they're playing like the way they should, because I was doubting them. I really was. Like, I was worried coming in, when they lost to the Jazz by 40. And I was like, man, these guys, are they going to be able to flip the switch? But Iguodala, I mean, I don't know how he does it every year. He just turns it on in the playoffs. And Klay Thompson has been on fire. KD, it hardly looks like he's even trying out there, and he ends up with 30 every night. So, I think that's good. And if they can, remain healthy with who they've got, they look good. And it looks like they got a good chance to make it back to the finals. Obviously, we'll see. But one thing I dislike from this series, first thing I want to say, rest in peace. Our condolences to Greg Popovich for his wife passing today. I know we both just found out about that, it's terrible to see the fact that he's, I mean, I don't think anyone would fault him if he chose to, not even coach the next game or so.
Yeah, and I want to express my condolences as well, because it is kind of shocking, to hear that, and just the loss of anybody. It's just heartbreaking. And Pop is such a good guy and stuff, and
Yeah.
everyone loves listening to his interviews and stuff after games, and it's just gonna be a different vibe even if he does coach and he has to do those post game interviews. It's just gonna be, everyone's just gonna be like heartfelt and stuff. So, like you said, I wouldn't blame him for, not taking time off.
Yeah.
I mean, someone else on that team's taking a lot of time off, but I don't want to get into that.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. Don't worry.
Go ahead to your go ahead with your dislike.
I mean, what I dislike is just the fact that I think this Spurs team is kind of doing all that they can. Like, I dislike that it's just like them doing all that they can. It's still not even competitive. Patty Mills had one of the best games he's had all season the other night. Danny Green, he just hasn't, his 3-point shot hasn't been there this year. Ginobili's been decent, but it's just, LaMarcus Aldridge has been great. It's just not enough. It's just, they can't compete, because LaMarcus Aldridge, when he gets heavy touches, it's great, but it's all twos. And when you're playing the Warriors, who, when they get going on streaks, they're hitting 3-pointers, you just can't keep up in terms of numbers. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. My like for this series is, that I think the Spurs, like you said, they're giving it all they can, and I just feel like you said, they just don't have enough, and it would be great to see Kawhi back and be able to help them, but I think he's still hurt. I don't think he's just off the team because he's mad at anyone or anything. I think he's legit just still hurt, and they just can't figure out the injury. And that brings me to my dislike. The Warriors right now, they're so vulnerable with Steph out. And yeah, they still have 3 All-Stars on the team, but
Yeah.
with the healthy Kawhi back on the Spurs team, do you think that the Warriors would have such, an easy way? Do you even think they'd still win this series without Steph?
I do. I think they'd win it. I think it'd maybe go to 6 games. Maybe.
With the healthy
I think
Kawhi?
they probably, with healthy Kawhi, I think they might win. Their win margin wouldn't be 20 or 15, but I still think Warriors would beat them pretty handily. Just, I just do. I think this Warriors team is just good, and I think they play up or down to their competition most of the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
when they care, they'll play up, and when they don't care, they play down. So it's like I think if the Spurs were really coming at them, they'd step up, and we'd see. I mean, it's different though if the Spurs, if Danny Green's hitting too, because that's a big thing where he has not been hitting. And, if you look back at, when the Spurs' most recent championship, Danny Green had a huge role in that and set some playoff and finals records with 3-pointers. Like, so just to put that in perspective, missing something like that, a knockdown shooter who's just not knocked down right now, I think could be a big factor. But with everything else, I think with a healthy Kawhi, I still don't think they're over the hump. I don't know.
Yeah, coming into the series, I had the Warriors in 6 without Steph.
Okay.
I thought, with the Spurs and Pop, I felt like they'd be able to at least take 2 away from Golden State. But with this situation with Pop now, and his head might not be right, and I mean he's a professional, don't get me wrong, but that's just such a tough loss, and
Yeah.
if he takes time out, this will be a sweep, I think now. But coming in, I had the Warriors in 6 because I thought they would give them a little trouble, and the Spurs like to play big, and that's kind of the way you have to kind of beat the Spurs if you can't, or that's the way you got to beat the Warriors if you can't, outscore them by like shooting
Yeah.
and playing small. You got to go big and beat them up inside, and I thought the Spurs would maybe take a couple games that way, but it doesn't look that way. So moving
Yeah,
on to the
I
next
agree.
series.
Well, hold on. I got a question here. This is my hot
Okay.
take.
All right, go ahead.
So I want to hear your opinion, and then I'm gonna give you my opinion. But why is Kawhi sitting out? You think he's really hurt? Or do you think it's a mental thing, or what do you think's going on?
Like I said earlier, I think he's legit hurt. But he does, have like a lot of trust issues, and he just doesn't trust the Spurs doctors. And they cleared him,
You
and
think?
he's like, "No, I'm still hurt." So I think that he just doesn't trust the Spurs doctors. And I mean, he's came out and said he wants to be a Spur for life and stuff, but I don't know, with this, summer coming up, and the Spurs have the option to give him a max. If they don't give him the max, like, what does he do? Do they trade him? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
see, this is the thing. The way I look at this, though, the reason why I think he's legit hurt is I think he's doing now what Isaiah Thomas should have did last year. Because Isaiah Thomas chose to play through the injury, and it basically cost him a max contract, and it got him traded. Like, if he would have sat out and just stayed healthy, I don't think Danny Ainge would make that trade. Because
Really?
yeah, part of the injury, or part of the trade, was because of his injury. He wanted to get Isaiah Thomas out of there. He knew it wasn't going to pay him a max, and I think honestly that injury was part of the reason why Ainge ended up trading Isaiah Thomas. And the Cavs, LeBron was really upset. He didn't want them to get him because he knew Isaiah Thomas wasn't healthy. And I think that's kind of the approach Kawhi's looking at. He's like, all right, do I force myself to play and risk the max, or not play and still get the max, whether it's from the Spurs or someone else? You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, kind of going on along with your last point, that's kind of relates to my idea, but my reasoning for why he's sitting out, I really think it's a money thing. I think he's making the smart business decision by not playing, and I think that's what his team as an agent and whoever's on his side has been telling him. It's that, and when he says he wants to be a Spurs for life, I think behind closed doors, he's trying to negotiate for an extension now, because the Spurs have the ability to do that, but they haven't done it. And if you're Kawhi, coming off an injury like this, which, as you can see, can really debilitate somebody, as Tony Parker's never been the same since his exact same injury happened to him like a year ago. Never been the same since. So I think Kawhi's trying to secure his money, and he's been, trying. His agent's probably been trying to negotiate an extension, and the Spurs aren't going to do it right now because they're probably in the, let's wait and see. We want to save the money for a free agent so we can sign Kawhi to the max and go over the salary cap, whatever. Which makes sense for the Spurs, but for Kawhi, if he's risking an injury like this and they want him to come play through it, because my theory is he still injured a little? Yes. Can he play? Yes. But does he want to risk it? Does his agent want him to risk it? No, because all he's going to do is lower his value, like what happened to Isaiah Thomas, like you just mentioned. He's going to come out. He's going to be hobbled. He's not going to play as well. Somebody's going to, in free agency, if the Spurs aren't willing to sign him to the max, then who's going to do it? And after all this has already happened, well, see, yeah, he's going to get it either way, I think. But I think that his team as in, his agent, his people around him, are just trying to negotiate and get him his money, because you can't. We're talking millions of dollars here, hundreds of millions of dollars with the NBA today. Kawhi could have himself a $200 million plus contract on the line here. And I think it's the type of thing where, you want me to come play injured? Okay, give me my extension. Oh, you're not going to give me my extension, so I'm not going to play injured. I think that's what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah,
I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move for him. And I don't blame him at all for sitting out. And I don't think his team should either. Because when you got $200 million on the line, like, who cares? You guys are going to lose the first or second round anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's like, with Kawhi and, like, other situations in the past, it's like the teams, they know you're injured. But when it comes to contract time, it's like they forgot that you were injured, that you tried to play through your injury. Like, they look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, your numbers went down this year, so we're going to pay you to your numbers. You know what I mean? So, like you said, it's smart on his part. I don't blame him for it. And I still legit think he's hurt. And like you said, is he hurt enough to where he can't play? Maybe not. Maybe if, this was the finals and he was already playing and he got hurt, could he play? Yeah. But, yeah, just take it off. And
Pop, too. Like, Pop, he doesn't play injured guys who just came back. Like, he's not just going to insert Kawhi into the starting lineup right now. Like, I don't think, if Kawhi said he could play tomorrow, I don't think he would start. I just don't. Like, you know what I mean? Pop is that, like, he sent Tony Parker down to the D-League when he coming off injuries, like, back in the day. So, yeah, that's my take.
I agree. All right, so moving on to the next 3-6 series, the Heat versus the Sixers. Right now it's tied 1-1. What do you like so far, and what do you dislike so far about this series?
Oh, what I like, D-Wade. Vintage Wade. I love it. I love to see. I'm so happy he's back in Miami. It's where he's meant to be. Should have never left, but I don't blame him for leaving. You got to go get that money. But it's good to see D-Wade back, see him playing well, regardless of if they win the series or not. It's a good story. What do I dislike? You know what I dislike? I was talking to you about this earlier. I dislike the cockiness of Ben Simmons with his Rookie of the Year thing, because should he win it? Yeah. He's going to win it, regardless. But talking about that's not even a conversation, like, hold on. Did you see what, Donovan Mitchell did tonight? Like, he's been the leading scorer on a top 3 or 4 team in the West. Like, and he's their number one playmaker, and he's taken them to the playoffs. Yeah, his individual numbers aren't there, but team success, obviously, Sixers are up there too. So it's a difficult argument. But regardless, what I dislike is Ben Simmons' cockiness and just acting like it's not even a conversation. And come on, it is a conversation.
I'm like the opposite. I love his FU attitude.
Really?
His attitude. And it's funny coming from you, a Kobe fan. Like a Kobe obsessed fan that you
Yeah.
don't like that. I think that's so funny. I thought it'd be the opposite for you, cause I mean, he's not technically a rookie because he had an extra year than Donovan, but like, he still never played, and for him to come out and dominate like the way he does, like, it's incredible. It's crazy. Like, I actually watched him in high school, and I was
Yeah.
telling people when he was in high school, like, this guy's gonna be a Hall of Famer in the NBA. Remember, I said that, and
Yep.
because he was literally doing all of this in high school, and couldn't shoot, still couldn't stop him, and he's in the NBA playoffs, still can't shoot, still can't stop him, and it's crazy. But what was your prediction coming into the series? Like, who do you think was gonna
Coming
take it
in,
out?
I thought Philly was gonna win in 6, but like personally, I wanted Miami to win because I'm not a big Philly fan, dude. I'm just not. I'm not into the whole Ben Simmons thing. I mean, do I think they're good? Yes, but my personal bias is just making me dislike them right now. But here's my thing. I think I'm biased because the man can't shoot. I don't like players that can't, like, or won't do any part of the game. Like, they leave him so open at the 3-point line. They're guarding him like Rajon Rondo in 2009, where they're like standing at the free throw line, like daring him to shoot. And I know it's good. It's good from one standpoint, like, he's smart and he's not taking shots that he thinks he can't make. But you're in the NBA, dude. Make a jumper. I'm sorry. Make a jump shot.
I agree. What I had coming into this series, I mean, I'm biased, but this wasn't a biased take. I had the Heat winning in 7 because of what we saw the other night, D Wade. I kind of expected that performance in Game 7.
Jeez.
But I had the Heat winning in 7. What I like so far, you kind of took what I was going to say, D Wade, being back in Miami, Wade County. Love it. Missed it. Should have never left, but it's kind of good that he did left because now he appreciates Miami a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm going to change is I like Eric Spoelstra. Like, I think he's easily the better of the two coaches in this series, and I like the adjustments that he made from game 1 to game 2, and the way they guarded Ben Simmons and kind of just disrupted what Philly was doing. And that's the thing with these playoffs, and that's the difference between, the different games is the coaching and the adjustments. And I think that he had the better end of the coach, and his adjustments. I mean, he's battle-tested coach. He's won 2 championships. 3, I mean, he was an assistant when they won the first one with D-Wade. But he's battle-tested, and he knows how to make those adjustments. I mean, he even outcoached Greg Popovich in one of the finals. The finals that Ray Allen hit the shot, he outcoached Greg Popovich. And so he has that ability. That's what I like. What I dislike is Hassan Whiteside and Embiid. I mean, that was kind of the headliner coming into the series. Hassan hasn't been himself, and I think that's because Embiid has been out and the Sixers play small and fast, and that's kind of the opposite of how they want to use the Whiteside, and it's kind of made him ineffective. But I honestly think bringing Embiid back into the series is going to help the Heat out a little bit, because Whiteside's going to be a lot more engaged. Like, he lives for playing against Embiid, and the game's going to slow down. And that's going to be towards the Heat favor, because they like to play a little slow down, run the clock, take good shots, rather than just playing up and down with the Sixers. So, Embiid, he's probably the best center in the league, if you don't count Anthony Davis as a center. But at the same time, he's going to slow down the Heat to the pace that they want to. So, that's what I have for them. So, moving on to the next series, we have, let's stay in the East. We got the 4-5, Cavs, Pacers. What do you dislike, and what do you like so far about this series? It's tied 1-1.
What I dislike is, I don't know, this is a tough one, because I kind of like, I just love the competitiveness. But what I dislike is, so far, I guess the Cavs unwillingness to stick with something. Like after game one, so throughout the season, their starting lineup has to have changed. I don't even know how many times, regardless of the fact that they switched out half the team at the deadline. So before and after that, is J.R. Smith starting? Is J.R. Smith off the bench? Is Kyle Korver starting? Is Kyle Korver off the bench? Is Kyle Korver going to play? Is Rodney Hood going to start? Is J.R. Smith going to start? Is D Wade going to start back then? I mean, it's just been Jeff Green. Is Jeff Green going to start or come off the bench? So I don't even know anymore with there's so many lineup changes. Like, you got to pick one and you got to roll with it and you got to make it work. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. Obviously, they have a lot of players, I think, that are kind of underperformers where, like, you want to think Jeff Green, yeah, he's a great three. He's versatile. He can guard a four if he has to. He can hit a jump shot and he can drive. And then he plays and he ends up playing 20 minutes with like 2 points and a rebound. And you're like, what? Where you been? So I think they just need to figure out what lineup they're going to run with. Get out the way. Let LeBron run with that lineup and make it work. LeBron will make it work. Just find something, stick with it so everyone can expect, on a nightly basis, okay, how many minutes am I going to play? When do I come in? When do I got to be ready? Because you played basketball. We both played in college. We understand that there's nothing worse than sitting on the bench not knowing, hey, am I going to play tonight? When am I going to go in? If I go in, am I going to be taken out like within a minute, or am I going to get to a stretch to actually play my game? And so I think half that Cavs lineup is thinking, am I going to get in? When am I going to get in? How much am I going to play? If you're Tristan Thompson, regardless of all the stuff he's got going on, I think he should be playing at least a little bit. So that's what I dislike. I guess that turned into a lot.
Let's not get into all that.
Let's not even go there. We're not TMZ.
Man, get your head right. Man. Come on. You're dating one of the most famous chicks in the entire world, and you come on.
You didn't think this was gonna get out.
Man.
Let's be real. Maybe he wanted it to get out. I mean, we don't know his motive here.
Man, come on, Tristan. You can do better than that. But so, what did you have coming into the series? What was your prediction?
I had Cavs in 6. I think it was 6. Cavs in 6. Yeah. I mean, I was very surprised when the Pacers won Game 1. Very surprised. But then again, when I thought about it more, I'm like, I shouldn't be surprised because they got the better of the Cavs all in the regular season. They should have won, I guess. I mean, you could argue that they should have won, but it's still surprising anytime LeBron loses. So.
Yeah. I coming into the series, I had the Cavs in 5. And I still believe that it could be in 5. I feel like they kind of figured a little things out tonight. Yeah. Well, they figured out what they needed. Aggressive LeBron. No one on that Pacers team can stop an aggressive LeBron. And if he plays like that for 3 more games, they'll win 3 straight more games. But I think it'll probably go to 6. I doubt it'll go to 7 because I feel like LeBron and the Cavs, they definitely don't want to leave it up to like a chance Game 7 and losing that. So I don't think it'll get to that. But what I like about this series is Victor Oladipo is validating what he did all year. I like that. He's a guy that came out of nowhere. And we were kind of talking about it earlier. Like, it has to hurt Orlando Magic fans to see how good Victor Oladipo is now. Like, it has to hurt them. And, you know me, I'm from Florida. I'm a Heat fan. So, I mean, I could care less how Magic fans feel. State rivalry. But that hurts because they drafted him 2nd. And he washed out with them. He washed out with the Thunder a little bit. I mean, they only had him for a year. And then he turns into this. Like, he might arguably be the best two-way player in the league right now. Or not in the league.
Whoa.
In the playoffs right now. He might arguably be.
Whoa.
Who would be better? Two-way. Like guard.
Klay Thompson.
Clay.
Well, okay,
Arguably.
Oladipo's
Eh,
doing more with less. Obviously, like it's hard to
yeah,
compare because Klay Thompson's not leading a team with no other stars to the
yeah.
playoffs, so it's different. I
No,
mean, I
but
was
I'm
just saying
saying
Klay Thompson.
arguably. So yeah, Clay Thompson's
Yeah,
arguably
yeah, no,
one.
yeah, he's definitely in the conversation. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Oladipo. Who else? I mean, Kawhi would obviously be in there, but Kawhi's not there. I'm talking about like wings and guards. Big men don't really
Yeah.
count. I
No,
mean,
no,
Anthony
yeah,
Davis is
you got a
probably
good
number
point.
one, two-way. And what I dislike is sort of what you mentioned. Just like the Cavs can't figure out their crap, and it's like.
Yeah.
But then again, the more crap they have, I feel like they feed off of that. Like if they don't lose game one, they don't play like this tonight, game two. So it's like
True.
they need that drama to play well, and it's kind of like frightening because you can do that against Indiana, but when you get later and later on, like when you're playing either the Warriors or the Rockets in the finals, like you could get what happened last season or last finals could happen again, where it's like, crap, we're down 0-3. Let's play the best games of our lives and then go lose game 5. Like, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they need to, figure that out. And this might be LeBron's worst roster. I lied. This is definitely LeBron's worst roster since that 07 finals. But could you argue that this team is worse than that team? Or is it like not an argument?
I don't think you could argue it, but
Because K-Love is the difference. K-Love is definitely the difference, but he gets hurt every game, so does he really count?
No, you got a good point. No. That brings up another topic I have to bring up. Something my dad always talks about, which is like one of the smartest things I've ever heard, but no one ever talks about it. He talks about, you got all these abilities by basketball players. Their ability to jump, the ability to shoot. What about the most key ability that exists? Availability. Are you injured or can you play tonight? Like K-Love, he lacks availability. A lot of times he's not available to play. Anthony Davis is another one who he has all the other skills, but availability, half the season he's injured. I mean, not half the season, obviously, but you get what I'm saying. So, like you said, that factors in a lot. Yeah, that factors in a lot of, you might be really good, but if you can never play, how good are you really, Joel Embiid? How good are you? I don't know.
I mean, ask the Spurs about Kawhi right now. You know what I'm saying? How good is he really for the Spurs right now? He's not available. You know what I mean? So, yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And it's like, I mean, they already lost K-Love that first finals when LeBron came back. And that whole playoffs, actually. The famous Kelly Olynyk, shoulder pull.
I still think though that his old Cavs team, the first team he took to the finals, was trash. Come on now.
Yeah,
that team was
that's definitely the worst finals team of all time.
Name me 5 players.
I could do it because
I know you could because you're a basketball guy, but not like there's no reason you should know Sasha Pavlovich. Like there's no reason you should remember Jamario Moon or like.
Oh my gosh, Booby Gibson.
Hey, I liked him though. He was wet for a couple seasons.
Yeah, he was, and then he just fell off the face of the earth.
He disappeared.
Is he with Keisha Cole? Is that who he's with, or he's with some like female artist, and he just fell off the face of the earth with her. So yeah, moving on. So this series, I think, was, coming in was probably the most exciting to me. Wait, did we skip the Blazers?
Yeah, we skipped that one. So we got two West.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Solely sorry to Pelicans and Blazers fans. So we'll do that one, 3-6. So the Blazers and the Pelicans actually went on the road and stole the first 2 games. What do you like so far about this series, and what do you dislike? And what was your prediction coming in?
Okay, coming in, I thought Blazers were gonna win in 6. That'd be pretty hard to do now. But okay, what do I like? I like the fact that Jrue Holiday is playing well, because I'm always rooting for Jrue Holiday for a couple reasons. One, off the court, he's a great guy, Like, I don't know if you've heard the story about him and his wife. Like, his wife got really sick, and that's why I think he took some time off from the team a year ago or 2 years ago, where he just spent time with her, rehabilitating her. They have a child now, so it's like he's a really nice guy, and I think he deserves success. But on the other side of that, one of our colleagues, Joel Cosberg, wrote a great article about him a couple years ago. As soon as Boogie was traded to that team, talking about how Jrue Holiday is the X factor, and it's finally coming into fruition. It's finally proving itself that if Jrue Holiday, I mean, with the help of Rajon Rondo, Rondo's playing great too. So
Playoff Rondo.
Like,
Playoff Rondo.
Playoff Rondo, yeah. When Rondo cares. So that's great to see. What I dislike that the Blazers are just kind of falling down so easily. Like, I know, like, the first game, Lillard didn't have the best shooting game, neither did McCollum, which is, like, kind of rare. But, you know, I want to see the Dame that beat the Rockets with that game winner a few years ago. I want to, you know, if they're going to win, they're only going to go as far as Damian Lillard will take them. CJ McCollum, yeah, he's great. But Damian Lillard needs to be the one who's going to lead this team. And I think he can do it because he's done it in the past. Then again, I mean, what are they going to do if they win this series? Are they going to go to the finals? No. Are they going to go to the Western Conference Finals? Probably not. So it's tough. They're in kind of a limbo stage of they're just good enough to be like a top team in this league, but no one's really thinking of them as a championship contender.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. What I had coming in the series, I told you this before, we started the pod. I didn't buy the Blazer hype when they, went on their win streak and they got really high and got up to the 3 seed. I thought whoever played them in the first round was going to beat them. And, I like being right, or looking right at least. The Pelicans being up 2-0 is just, music to my ears and the eyes. But also at the same time, what I like about this is Anthony Davis is finally getting that exposure. Like, he's finally has that stage to really make his name. I mean, everyone knows who he is kind of already, but he has that stage now. And honestly, if they continue to play like this, I'm not saying they'll beat the Warriors, but they have that guy that no one in the league really can guard. And they'll be able to give the Warriors a little trouble next round if they advance. I mean, they probably will. They're up 2-0 on the road going home. But they have Anthony Davis, and, playoff Rondo, and Steph will just be getting back, so they kind of have to re-put him in, into the lineup and, get him going. He has to get his condition going. And, I mean, the Warriors probably still win in 5 or 6, but still it'll probably be, like, close games till the end. What I dislike about this series so far is basically, what we talked about earlier. It's just like the Blazers kind of just like plateau. Like, this kind of seems like this is it for them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded CJ McCollum after this year, if they get swept by the Pelicans. I would not be surprised if they like tried to pull off a big move. Or Nurkic is supposed to be a lot better than what he is. I mean, Aminu's playing fine. Evan Turner was, a bust of a contract just because of his contract, but he's an okay player. But they kind of just have like the bunch of these guys with those 2 guys, and it's just like they're kind of where the Wizards are, but they're better than the Wizards. So, and especially being in the West, they have to do something because everyone else in the West is going to get better. So it's like they're kind of where Memphis is, because if one of those guys gets hurt, they're going to be where Memphis is next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. It's a fine line they're crossing between top 3-4 team in the West to bottom 4.
Tanking. Yeah, and coming into the year, on our Le Flare podcast, me and D Greatest, kind of talked about, we had our teams for the season, our predictions going into the season for the playoffs. I said, I had the Blazers out of the playoffs because it was like, if one of those guys get hurt, and I had the Grizzlies out as well. If one of those guys gets hurt, then, the team's basically useless, basically a D-League team. And, the Grizzlies Conley got hurt for the whole year, and now they're about to have like the third or fourth pick in the draft. And so
Yeah.
with them, I just don't know what they do. But yeah, that GM has a lot of tough decisions to make this summer. Add the Wizards and the Bucks to that list. I think the problem with the Bucks is just coaching. I think if they get the right guy and maybe a couple moves here and there, they don't have to make anything drastic. A couple moves here and there, and they'll be back up where they're supposed to be with a top 5 player, arguably top 5 player,
True.
Giannis.
Well, going off that, I think, you put a coach like Brad Stevens in on like 5 or 6 of these teams around the league, and they're as good or better than the Celtics that he's coaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you switch out that coach, like if you have a coach like he's like a once in a decade type, or even maybe even longer type coach who comes in, and no matter what team he's on, if you give him some decent players or not even decent players, like the team's going to be good no matter what, and they're going to overachieve to the level of to meet his level that he can coach at.
And that's what may separate, the Celtics and the Sixers moving forward. Because the Sixers have the ammo to, keep Simmons and Embiid and get someone else. Whether it's LeBron, whether it's Kawhi, whether it's Paul George. They have the ammo. They have the... to get that. And so, you have, big 3 like that, and then the Celtics kind of big 4 moving forward. Like, that's going to be crazy, future for the East. So moving on to the last series that we haven't talked about, this is what I was kind of getting to earlier. This is probably the most exciting playoff series to me in the West. And then in the East, I'm biased, but I feel like everyone else felt this way too. The Sixers and the Heat was also like going to be the most exciting series. But I feel like the Thunder Utah series, definitely got exciting tonight. I mean, the Jazz went into OKC and won. So it's 1-1 going back to Utah. Coming into the series, I had OKC in 6.
Okay.
But I also had in the back of my mind, if they don't play well, Utah can easily beat them.
Okay.
What do you like and dislike about this series so far, and what was your prediction coming in?
Okay, coming in, I thought OKC was going to win in 5. Just because I think they're more experienced. They got more like go-to guys, which I think is huge in basketball, especially in the playoffs. Guys who can just go get a bucket when you need it. But so what do I like? I like Donovan Mitchell. I love everything about his game, everything about the way that he's performed this season. I mean, you talk about people hitting the rookie wall. He did not hit a rookie wall. You talk about, leadership being one of the, he's a rookie. Granted, he's kind of, I don't want to say an older rookie because he's not old by any means, but, he's not 18. So, he's kind of got a couple more years in him to develop his leadership. But, he's out there playing with guys like Rubio, who's, been in the league, close to 10 years now.
He came in the Curry draft.
It's like, that's a lot for a rookie to come in, be the team's leading scorer, probably their go-to playmaker. Rubio makes some good plays, but I mean, Donovan Mitchell is the one finishing a lot of these plays, scoring buckets, the one they go to down the stretch. That's insane to me. So I love that about him. What do I dislike? I'm biased here, but I just dislike the fact that the Thunder I just feel like they should be better. I feel like they haven't really incorporated Melo very well. Maybe Melo's just not good anymore. I don't know how to say it. I mean, Russ got his numbers again this year. He averaged a triple-double. Paul George had an okay year. I think he should have had a better year, but with Russ, he had about as good a year as you can have. He kind of turned into more of a spot-up shooter. He didn't have the ball in his hands as much. but he had the best 3-point percentage of his career. So, I mean, on that sense, he did pretty well. But what I just dislike the Thunder in general. I just think their team, they got, they got some fire under them, but almost too much to where I don't think they're going to put it together and turn it into wins. It's just going to result in a bunch of angry guys kind of going one-on-one. But we'll see. How about you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
What I like about this is, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like Donovan Mitchell, like it's hard to not like him, like as a person. You see his interviews and stuff, and he's literally the opposite of Ben Simmons. Like he's more humble. He has, I mean, he took a couple shots at Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons started it, but he's not that by nature.
Rookies, and,
yeah, and he honestly, like I heard this, listening to another podcast or an interview. I'm not sure exactly where, but he's honestly like a young D Wade, but with a jump shot. So like his potential is like out of this world. I think he's gonna be, if he keeps this up, he can be, one of those guys that, can be the face of the league and probably leave Utah in about 8 years to go to a bigger market. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to love Donovan Mitchell. And what I dislike, I'm not sure what I dislike so far. I mean, it's a good series. I expected it to be, a dogfight. What I dislike, I would say, is just like the roster makeup of the Thunder. They're pretty top heavy. They're like the Wizards, but with more talent. I mean, Russ is better than John Wall. Paul George, you could arguably say he's better than Bradley Beal. And then Melo's better than Otto Porter. And Steven Adams is better than Gortat. But, like, they all kind of do the similar things. You know what I mean? And they have, like, basically no bench. Oubre and Jeremy Grant are, like, the same. Jeremy Grant brings a different type of game, but you have that one guy, and then it's pretty much just like everyone else. It's just like, why are you playing? I mean, I like Raymond Felton a little bit as a backup guy. And then, I mean, Terrence Ferguson, I think, could be really good. He's really athletic and can shoot, but he's not ready now. Corey Brewer they're desperate because they didn't have Roberson. Yeah, they're literally the Wizards of the West, but just with more talent. Like, they're just a better version of the Wizards. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're better, but just like the Wizards, like you're talking about, there's that aspect of, even though, Russ and Paul George and Melo, like, they're all friends and they're all, like, on each other's side, but their games just I think don't necessarily complement each other. I think Paul George and Russ kind of do. Like, they're starting to figure it out a little bit more, especially as the playoffs come. Like, they can both have good games at the same time. But Melo still, has he had a good game when the other players have had good games? I don't know. I haven't watched the Thunder that much this year. But I think it's just a chemistry thing, and it's a willingness to sacrifice and just play well. Some players, they just don't mesh right. Like, you see it all the time. Different levels of basketball. I mean, personally, I can think back to, when I was in college playing. You were around that team. We had 3 guys that were all good players, but they all needed the ball in their hands to be good. So only one player could have a good game at a time, and then you end up wasting talent. Your team's wondering why we're not better, and it just ends up in a mess. So I think the hardest thing to find in the NBA, the hardest thing is not talent. There's talent all over, but it's chemistry. Because chemistry, you can take, players that aren't as good, that have good chemistry, and outperform. The Jazz are a perfect example. Those players aren't better than the Thunder players individually. Like, I mean, you look at Paul George and Russell Westbrook, either one of them is better than any single player on the Jazz. But the Jazz play like a team. They're happy. They're enjoying themselves. They have nothing to lose. And so they're playing like it, and they're playing good together. So,
all right, last hot take.
Yep.
Name me 5 coaches better than Quinn Snyder. I'll say 3 that are consensus.
Okay.
Spoelstra, Pop,
Okay.
and Brad Stevens. Those 3 are out. Name me
2.
3 other coaches or 2 other coaches better than Quinn Snyder in the job that he's done this year.
Well, it's kind of hard not to say Steve Kerr just because. I mean, well, okay, I guess it's depending on how you look at it. It's either hard not to say him or it's hard to say him. It's hard for me not to say him because the man won 2 championships, been to the finals, a lot recently, and so I got to throw him in. Yeah, I gotta say Steve Kerr. So another one better than Quinn Snyder right now. That's tough. I'd have to think about it, but I don't know.
I think
I don't know
I
that I
think
can because.
Yeah, I think he's definitely jumped into that conversation because, I mean, you kind of saw it in the past, and he brought that Jazz team last year with Gordon Hayward to the playoffs, and they almost beat the Clippers. And wait, did they beat the Clippers? I don't even remember. They did beat the Clippers. Joe Johnson. Am I
Joe
right?
Johnson, where's he at?
Yeah, they did beat the Clippers. It did beat the Clippers. Joe Johnson's on the Rockets.
He doesn't play that much, does he?
I'm not sure. I kind of missed the game, recording. But I think he got some time. The Rockets actually blew out the Timberwolves. They won by 20. 102-82.
Tonight?
They're up 2-0. K-Love actually, some news just broke out. K-Love tore a ligament in his thumb, but he's still expected to play Game 3.
Oh,
so,
gosh. K-Love lacking that ability.
Hey, the thing was availability. He's still going to be available, so.
True.
But yeah, yeah, Quinn Snyder, I definitely, respect him as a coach, and I think, he should get a lot more credit than he's getting right now, and he deserves it. And yeah, they beat the Clippers last year in the playoffs. Everyone thought the Clippers were going to win, and honestly, they put Chris Paul out of LA, if you really look at it. And
if you give him that credit, then yeah.
Yeah, hey, they drove Chris Paul to Houston. But the Utah Jazz are a well-coached team, and you can tell by the way they play in their system. It's honestly like what Spo's doing in Miami. Like, there's not that much high-end talent. I mean, they have Donovan Mitchell now, but it's like they have a collective of just a bunch of good guys, but no one great.
Yeah,
and they're able to like play against teams with great players and compete every night. And those guys, like those coaches and Brad Stevens included, like guys that can do a lot more with less, definitely get a lot more respect from me than guys that have a lot and still do a lot. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of why I don't really.
Definitely.
Well, the thing with Kerr, like, I know Kerr is a great coach because he honestly changed that culture there. Because Mark Jackson was doing a good job, but Kerr instantly changed who the Warriors were by coming there. So I give him credit for that. But it can't be that hard coaching that team with Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh, yeah, and it's funny because he mentions that all the time. He's like, I got the easiest job in the world. You think, like, how much coaching can you can't coach, like, you can't. You probably maybe give suggestions.
Yeah,
to,
you make you
Steph
have
Curry
like
and
adjustments
Durant,
and stuff. Yeah, and just have like you have a system, and the system was already in place. All they did was just add a 7-foot guy that could shoot threes. So.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really mention Kerr a lot, but I mean I know that he's a great coach. And I mean Carlisle is usually mentioned, but he's had a couple down years and. He's had less, yes, but I feel like the Mavs could be a lot more competitive if he wants to be back up there. And then there's no one else that really jumps out to me as like a coach. Oh, Dwayne Casey should get a little credit because he did change how the Raptors play. And what the Raptors do, and made them actually a force in the East, which is probably still gonna lose to LeBron in the second round. And D'Antoni, yeah. Is it really that hard to coach that team too? You just let James Harden and Chris Paul go 1-on-1. It's literally pick and roll in 1-on-1.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's kind of take a star player and exploit them to the best of their abilities to make it work for you.
Yeah, so. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they had the best record in the league, but it's like kind of like the Kerr syndrome. So I give him the Kerr syndrome. And then, I mean, that's Terry Stotts is okay. I mean, the Blazers, yeah, he's done the best he can with that roster. Alvin Gentry should get some credit with the Pelicans. And that's pretty much it.
I'm not the biggest coaches. I'm not the biggest Alvin Gentry fan. I feel like he's kind of underperformed with the Pelicans in the last couple of years. Like, did they make the playoffs this year? Yes. But I think I don't know, it's tough in this NBA when you want big men to be out on the wing. But I still think Anthony Davis should be inside more. I know they got Boogie now. He's not playing right now. But, he's on the team, so it clogs it up a little bit. But you got somebody that big, it's hard for me to not just take Shaq's mentality of, like, just give him the ball and, like, dominate. Because this NBA, they will call the fouls. Like, big men just don't do that anymore, which I'm hoping DeAndre Ayton coming out of Arizona is going to change that, because he's not the best jump shooter. He seems more of a power big man, which we haven't seen for a while since Dwight, who did it for a select few years. So
biased Laker fan.
Yeah, he didn't do it on the Lakers, I'll tell you that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see. We got some good coaches in the league. Quinn Snyder's definitely up there. So
yeah.
I guess we'll wrap up for today. It's been a great podcast. We got a lot in. It took a while getting all these teams out. Do you have any final points or anything else you want to add before we go today?
Yeah, we owed our fans this long pod because we've been on a long hiatus, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long one. I mean, we don't expect our pod to be this long, but kind of had to give our predictions and what we liked to what's going on in the playoffs so far, and you can expect to hear from us twice a week going forward, and we're gonna have some interesting topics and some interesting hot takes like we did tonight, and hot questions, and these hot questions, Justin and I, we don't really talk about those before. They're that's why we kind of just throw them out at each other on the spot, just to get our brains moving a little bit, and give the best opinions, hot. So that's just all I have to say with that, and we'll also have a lot more content.
Yeah, we want to keep you guys updated and let you guys know what we're doing. So we're gonna be introducing some more bits into the podcast. We're gonna be, like Rod said, getting it going full swing again, with hopefully our goal is to send out 2 a week and space those out so you get content to listen to. Shout out to LaFleur Media. That's another thing we got going that you'll be hearing a lot more about as we develop that. It's a great place to hear the hottest new sports, pop culture, hip hop, anything you can imagine. You'll find it on LaFleur. Follow the page on Insta. But other than that, thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, thank you. We're almost done. But we'll be back with another one later this week. And thank you guys. And we'll see you next time. Bonafide Basketball.
Adios.